Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
You're a child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
I realize that there's a few more things that I want to say about the people in this clip.
You can see that what he says is in the hearts of every government in Europe. We can see that everything that he says is in the heart of every disbeliever. That he wishes to ban the hijab, that he wishes to take away the Quran, that he wants to close down the Islamic centers. That is the same thing that we see in the rhetoric of the British. Islam will come. Islam will dominate. Islam will dominate the east of the east and the west of the west. So no matter where he runs the stock, Islam will be implemented, so he can go and crawl under any rock. And we will see the believers victorious. We will see Israel destroyed. We will see the European Crusaders destroyed. And we will see Islam dominate.
You notice there's no women in this protest? This is something that strikes me every time I see pictures of protesting Muslims. Where are the women? Are women not allowed to express themselves? Are they not allowed to join in and speak out for their beliefs or their way of life? If they're so proud of their veils and the fact that they hide themselves behind them, where are they speaking out? Why are they not? Why do we hear no female voices in these crowds speaking out? But your women aren't oppressed. No. You don't see any women here in these crowds speaking out, but they're not oppressed. You'd let them be there, right? If they wanted to be, you'd let them. You'd let your women who are not oppressed wear Western clothes if they wanted to, even in Western countries where that's normal and that's how people are supposed to dress. That's something else that I wanted to say for these people that are threatening to take over Europe, take over London and America and every place that's free. You know, when I want to visit Europe, I haven't had the privilege yet of getting to visit Europe. There's a lot of really cool countries there that I would love to see. I would love to see Ireland and Scotland and England and Germany and Wales and Sweden and Norway. All these really cool countries with their rich history, sometimes very violent history, but very rich history, and their unique cultures. I would like to see these places so much. And here I am more than halfway through my life. I have yet to see them. I remember I used to want to see Africa really badly too. Now if I went to Africa, the Africa that I wanted to see no longer exists. The animals, they're all in parks. If I want to go on a safari, I'd be going into a park to see animals. I don't really call that wild. I don't call living in a park a wild existence. I call it more like a zoo. And I think that's really sad. The Africa I wanted to see is gone. Now the Europe and all these countries that I wanted to see, if I go there, what am I going to see? Am I going to see the Middle East? Am I going to have to wear a fucking veil so I don't get harassed, or I doubt I'd get raped at my age, but I wouldn't want to have to wear a veil in Europe. I would not want to look around and see the Middle East in Europe. I would want to see these European countries. That's what I came to see. And the European cultures, with their rich diversity and their beauty and their history, that's what I would want to see if I went to Europe, to any European country. I wouldn't want to see the Middle East. And I wouldn't want to be in fear because of how I'm dressed. If I wanted to see the Middle East, I would go to the fucking Middle East, wouldn't I? This is something that really upsets me. The thought that these beautiful, wonderful, diverse, history-rich cultures are being infested by Islam. And that Middle East culture is taking these cultures over. This pisses me off. I don't want to go to London and find myself in the Middle East. I don't want to go to Scotland and, oh my God, we're in the Middle East. Sharia law is ruling everything and women are forced to wear veils or be afraid if they don't. This is not something that I want to have to experience if I finally get to go to any of these European countries. This is not what I want to go to see. I want to see those cultures that I think are really awesome. I don't want to see the Middle East, which I consider to I think of those cultures as completely different and, you know, not so awesome in so many ways. And I'm talking about Middle Eastern countries that are predominantly Muslim, where women pretty much have to wear a certain kind of attire or be afraid, where Sharia law rules people's lives. I don't want that. I have zero desire to visit the Middle East. Zero desire. Because it angers me. Human oppression angers me. Now I look at these men in this clip and I see wife beaters. I totally can imagine any one of these people going home and beating their wives because these men think that that's what it is to be a man, to be superior. Violence, physical strength, picking on weaker people. That's what makes you a man. That's the mentality I see in this crowd. It sickens me. These same people have zero capacity for control, for self-control. If they see a woman's skin showing, they have zero capacity for self-control. If they see somebody offending Islam, they have zero capacity for self-control. That's what I see when I see this crowd of howling vermin, which is what I consider these kind of people to be, vermin on the planet. I had somebody write under my channel, and I don't remember what video. It might have been my message to Muslims, which featured this clip. And it's to watch this clip, at least it does for me, it makes me very angry. So I think this person who wrote this probably was angry when they referred to these people as subhuman. And I take offense at that. I take offense at calling any person subhuman. Vermin? That's perfectly okay. Subhuman? No, not so much. The Nazis called the Jews subhuman. And people who use that term, or he also compared them to apes. Funny how you don't ever hear somebody say of a white person, compare a white person to an ape, or say a white person is like an ape. Apes have black skin, don't they? They have very dark skin. To me, when somebody calls somebody subhuman or like an ape, they're not criticizing a cult or the actions of a cult or the actions of extremists or fanatics like the people in this crowd. Yes, I acknowledge that all Muslims are not like these people in this crowd. I acknowledge that. But it seems to me when people refer to people with darker skin like, oh, they're subhuman or they're apes, they're not showing contempt toward the cult. They're showing racism and bigotry. And I will not have that on my channel. I tried to admonish this person as best I could, because I kind of understand the rage. But I will not have racism or bigotry on my channel. We are all, science shows that all humans came from Africa. Very likely our ancestors were black. They had dark skin. I don't particularly think that the color of somebody's skin has anything to do with how much of a human being they are, or how intelligent they are, or how athletic they are, or how good of a singer they are, or how much potential they might have. Skin color is superficial. What really matters is what is inside. It's the same as beauty and ugliness. Is an ugly person less valuable than a beautiful person? Our society sure seems to think so. If you see somebody has died in an accident, I mean, I'll never forget, there was a thing in the news, this is back when I was a kid, about this car full of teenagers that crashed and the kids were killed. And the guy who wrote the article said it was so tragic, they were such beautiful children, or something like that. And my response as a plain person, even back then, was, if they weren't beautiful, would the deaths be less tragic? You cannot judge a person's value on their appearance or on their skin color. And I'm sorry, but saying that these people are like apes, I think apes are really cool, and we as human beings are apes. Personally, I think calling the people in this crowd ape-like insults apes. If you study a little bit about ape society, you'll find there's a lot of cool things about apes. And a society of apes would not behave like these people in this crowd. So yeah, I am very angry at Islam. I'm very angry at this mentality that they think that this filth needs to cover the planet and take away beautiful, valuable, history-rich cultures that I prize and would like to see in my lifetime, and replace it with Islam and the Middle East. That angers me. I don't want everybody on the planet to be the same color. I don't want everybody on the planet to think exactly the same and believe exactly the same and dress exactly the same. The beauty of this planet is its variety, its variations, its differences. This is a corny analogy, but I like a bouquet of flowers to have different kind of flowers in it with different colors and different shapes. I see a bouquet of roses and I think, well, that's kind of boring. It smells nice, but it's kind of boring. If I see a herd of horses, I like to see splashes of different colors. Not just all brown horses or all white horses or all gray horses. Another stupid analogy. But the point is, Islam does not belong in Europe. People who want to be Islamists or Muslims in Europe, fine. You can have your religion in Europe. But if you go to Europe, to any country in Europe, you're choosing to be Scottish. You're choosing to be British. You're choosing to be German. If you don't want to be these things, stay in the country where you can be whatever the fuck Middle Eastern country you are. Don't try to make these other countries your culture. Let's convert Germany into another Iran. No! I want Germany to stay Germany. Thank you very much. And England to stay England. Thank you very much. If you want to be English, go to England and become English. Honor England's laws. Adopt England's culture. Dress like somebody who is English. Don't try to make other people adhere to your laws from the Middle East. Don't try to make these other people from this other culture dress like you think people should dress in the Middle East. Don't try to Middle Easternize these other countries. They have their own culture that is valuable and rich and worth something. They have their own beliefs that are worth something and their own laws that are worth something. If you want that Middle Eastern whatever, stay in the Middle East where it is. Don't put it someplace else and try to squash somebody else's culture. You know, Europeans did that here in America to the Native Americans. We squashed their country, their culture, their country, their civilizations. We said ours is more important, ours is more correct, and we squashed them. Their valuable cultures, their valuable art, their valuable music, their valuable everything, their language even, we squashed it. It was a hideous stain on America's history. It's like slavery, something we should be ashamed of. And now you, people in the Middle East who want to come into European countries and Canada and America and make Middle East countries out of our countries. You're trying to do the same thing, and it's evil. It's wrong. And I oppose you. I oppose this. And I loathe Islam for this reason, because it is inspiring this. This is what I wanted to say. This clip with these vermin, I'm sorry, I will not call them apes. They are vermin. There's no other word for this. It angers me so much when I see this clip. This is what I wanted to say. How this clip makes me feel. No, I do not believe that Islam is a religion of peace. I do not, because it breeds this kind of vermin. It creates this kind of mentality. If you have a tree that bears poisonous fruit, I don't care how many good pieces of fruit that tree has, if it bears toxic fruit that kills whoever bites into it, I cut the tree down. I grind the stumps so there's no chance of it spreading elsewhere. I don't tolerate that tree to continue to exist. And that's how I view Islam. You might have you might have millions of really good people who believe in Islam and try to follow Islam and see good in Islam. But you have enough bad apples in that cult that have caused so much harm to the planet. I'm sorry, the tree is rotten. You cut it down. You try something else. Or you try learning to look at reality. I have said this so many times. It matters to me if what I believe is true. It really does. It really matters to me that what I stand for is supported by actual fact. That matters to me. And also who I choose to worship and praise. I'm sorry, but marrying a child and having sex with her when she's 9, I wouldn't want to worship and praise that. Or a God that would say to someone, you must love me or you're going to burn forever in hell. I'm sorry. I have more of a sense of morality than this God. I would never worship such a God. This video is getting long, so I'm going to end this, but this is why I despise Islam. This is why I think Islam is a harm in the world, and people who are nice, peaceful Muslims, you're still feeding the monster. You're still putting coins in the coffer. You're supporting this tree that produces this vile fruit that causes pain and misery and death and suffering and tries to squash out everything else in the world that's beautiful. And I oppose you.
I am absolutely convinced that the main source of hatred in the world is religion. And I think it should be religion treated with ridicule and hatred and contempt.
Share the same weather, winter or summer, May or September, the 4th of whenever, it's better together. Let's get together. Home is where